Coach, welcome to Monday Night Football.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Coach, what is your reaction when the draw was made? You know, Gambia in the group of death.
Well, I was excited, definitely, unlike a lot of people who received it with some concerns. I was not that much concerned
Why?
because I
Why?
am of the well, listen, it is called the group of death because Gambia is in it. You know, we are no pushovers, and I think if anything, we have proven over and over again, especially of late, that we are one of the top teams in Africa. Now, when you live in the Gambia and you are a Gambian, sometimes we tend to underrate ourselves.
Yeah.
But look at from junior tournaments to our performance in the last Cup of Nations to even the qualifying rounds, the group that we were in
Yeah.
and qualified. So definitely we've been surprising people around the world. And what I've always asked people to do is look at the history of Gambia in tournaments. We have not done badly in tournaments. Any tournament that we play in, we've always done very, very well. So to me, I'm excited, and I'll go on the limb and tell you that we'll beat Senegal. There is absolutely no doubt about that.
Yeah, Coach, looking at the group, we have opponents, you know, very strong opponent indeed. We've seen the defending champions, that is Senegal. We know that there is a big rivalry, you know, between Gambia and Senegal. But at the same time, there are another lions, that is Cameroon. You know, we met them in the last AFCON, and then unlucky for us, we were beaten by the Cameroon. And then we've also seen Guinea, you know, who never expected that Gambia was going to beat them. But at the end of the day, we won. And I know that Guinea must have gone back and prepared well, and then knowing that they're going to face Gambia again. We have two big teams, that is Cameroon and Senegal.
Yeah, it's going to. That's true because if you go by history, these are some of the giants of African football. But that doesn't also mean that we are not going to be able to compete with them. One thing I can tell you though is, in as much as most Gambians are worried about those teams are also equally worried about the Gambia. Because if one thing is clear, is that I don't think anybody is going to take us for granted anymore because of what we are capable of doing. And even look at our game against Cameroon. I think we showed too much respect to Cameroon. I believed that if we had come out and played offensively, we would have gotten something out of the game. But again, the coach is the coach. He has his tactics and has his ways. It has been working for him, so I'm not going to go there. But it's going to be a tough order for everybody involved in this group. So that's why the first game against Senegal would be the key game. And I can see what happened in 2008 when Aziz Kornyang did it to them. It was almost 15 years ago because it was the 11th, I think, of October 2008.
Yeah.
I can see a repetition of that. And in fact, I believe that Minte would come out to be the star of the this thing, African Cup of Nations that is coming up.
Yeah, but watching
So the
our
Senegalese would have their hands
qualifiers.
full.
Yes, watching our qualifiers, tactically, do you think we can continue to play with the tactics that we are playing, knowing that we're playing bigger nation, more tougher nation, you know, than the qualifiers?
I have my reservations about the tactics that the coach employed, but at the end of the day, he's been using them. He's been getting results. Because definitely, you can say anything you want to say about Tom, but results have been happening. He's been getting the desired results that he wants. I really would want to see an opportunity where people like Abdoulaye Diallo and Musa Baro and Minte are given the opportunity to express themselves, rather than be restricted where you defend so deep and allow your opponents to hold on to the ball for so long because it creates serious problems for you because all it takes is one mistake and you're done. But I hope that the coach would look at the talent that we have and employ a more positive approach towards our game. And I believe that that would be an exciting thing for the world of soccer.
Okay. Now, coming to a game against Senegal, a very crucial game indeed, a game that, we can't afford to lose because, it is our first game. Can you just give us an insight into the rivalry, between Gambia and Senegal?
Well, the rivalry is fierce. If you've had a chance to watch Gambia play Senegal, one thing though that we also need to remind people is, I think the only time that we lost badly against Senegal was in 1988, the African Cup of Nations. I think it was played in, Guinea or so. And the team was coached by this Spanish coach who had the team. We played against Senegal and they defeated us 4-0. That was the worst defeat ever against Senegal that I can remember. And I know we beat them in the 60s. I think it was 63. This was the team that George Gomez, the late George Gomez, the Bonnie Blancis, and all those people played. We beat them. But then since then, we've not had the luck to beat them. It has always been 1-0 for the most part. That's what it was. But it's a big rivalry. It's like a derby because Senegal and the Gambia, we are so close a people. And of course, you'll have this banter that is going on. So I think... and I think that rivalry is why sometimes they defeat us because our people go with it with so much emotion, and the Senegalese always know how to push our buttons and get us frustrated, and we'll make a mistake and they will score and sit back. So it's going to be a massive rivalry, and I think it's good, and I hope that we will not have a repeat of what happened in 2008 where we equalized and then everything became, very violent. But let it be football banter. We go there, play the game, play our game, not be too emotional about it, get the results that we get. But of course, it's one of the biggest rivalries that we will have in Africa. When you talk about Senegal, it's just like Ghana-Nigeria rivalry. Senegal, Gambia, the rivalry is massive. And this is why, in spite of the fact that most of the times that we played them, they've played people who are professionals. We played local players. But we've always able to match them to the extent, of course, they end up winning for the most part 1-0, but because of the rivalry. So, and I hope that would continue and people will, at least, the tide will turn this time on our side and we'll be the one leaving the field with the victory.
But Coach, looking at the head-to-head between the two nations, it doesn't tell well. Gambia have never won against Senegal. They drew 11 times, and then Senegal won 14 times. So one might be, very scared. And looking at the caliber of players that they have right now.
Well, you know what? There is always a first, and in fact, that record is wrong. We defeated them in 62 or 63. In Senegal itself. So that record is wrong, but. We'll accept it. Yes, it is true. And this is why if you go back and check that record, for the most part, the games are 1-0. Most of the games, that's how they ended, including the 1980 finals, what was it, Zone 2 finals at the Boxbar Stadium, the 1985 Zone 2 finals at the Boxbar, at the Independence Stadium, and all these other times that we played them, even in Senegal and all that. It has always been 1-0 and all that. But to me, I still have serious hope and confidence that we can defeat them. It's not been always a dominant performance by Senegal against the Gambia. Okay. Where you say that they dominated us and beat us badly. That has never been the case. It has always been a fiercely competed game, and they would have a chance and score. So, yes, the record is there. But all records are meant to be broken, and I think this will be the start of breaking those records.
Okay. Coach, we also want to look at the financial aspect of it because we know that we are going to the AFCON. There's a lot of preparation that need to be done. We've also seen the World Cup qualifiers, which Gambia is also participating in. Finance is always a problem. The last time AFCON, I think the government, finance, I would say, the whole part of AFCON. And then we have, companies here in the country, who sit down and fold their hands. What what is your advice on that?
Well, I had, because I sat and I'm like, okay, I'm not hearing anything from this guy. So I reached out to both the GFF and the minister and to ask what plans do they have afoot to be able to tackle this. Because we are confronted with two very, very important things here. You have the AFCON, you have the World Cup qualifiers. And I believe that the government, and I want to call on the National Assembly here because they are the ones who are entrusted with, budgetary issues. Of course, they bring them, they are the ones who approve. Football or sports has never been given its due in the Gambia. I remember when they created the Ministry of Youth and Sports after the 1992 elections, Boabade becoming the first minister. The budget was so low. I think what was allocated was about $1 million. And I remember the then late Usain Njai, who was then a nominated member in parliament, was talking about the way that they created the ministry and the budget is like, creating it and killing it at the same time. They've never given it its due. So I believe that the government, the GFF, the business community, and all Gambians must all have all hands on deck to be able to raise the necessary funds so that we can compete effectively in these tournaments. And one thing we must appreciate and sometimes do not.
Okay.
Everybody is talking about how divided we are, a country. Tribalism, insults and all that. The only time that Gambians unite as one around the red, white, blue, white, green is when our national team, the Scorpions, are doing well, or Ginabas, or all these sporting people who are doing very well. So as a result, I think everything must be done to ensure that this enterprise is fully funded so that the boys will be able to go participate in this thing and not having to worry about what their allowances would be or how they're going to get there or whether they're going to have test matches and all that. It is sad that everybody who is participating in this Cup of Nations is now engaged in some test matches or whatever. We are not. And this all as a result of lack of funds. So I want to call on my fellow citizens, businessmen, the President of the Republic, the National Assembly, all aspects of Gambia, the judiciary, the GFF, you name it, to all come together, raise the necessary funds so that the boys will be fully prepared and so that they will be able to represent us fully.
Are you encouraged with the financial muscle of the Ministry of Youth and Sports and that of the GFF so far?
No, I'm not.
Why?
And I know that even if you look at our last game in Morocco, what the GFF, what their budget was and what government was able to provide was, I think, about less than half of what was asked for. So I think we have to look at this thing because we cannot continue doing this, where we have the boys, they'll go play, sacrifice, qualify us, and then when it comes to the preparatory part of it, we're talking about lack of funds and all that stuff. So I believe that if we take football and give it its due, sports and give it its due, I think we should be able to finance this thing. And there are some countries where the national teams would have a sponsor, a national sponsor, a company that sponsors them. Maybe they are training gears, they would have whatever. I think Senegal is Orange or whatever they call them. All these businesses that we have in the Gambia, they should be able to do that. They should be able to help in financing or helping finance the national team rather than waiting until they start having success. And then you use that success to advertise your business, talking about, if the Gambia scores this number of goals, we'll give you this number of things, because that's exploitative. So this is the time now for everybody, irrespective of your political affiliation, irrespective of what you call yourself, to come together and do this thing for our country. If you remember Caire 86, where Senegal qualified 1986 for their first Cup of Nations, even the people who sold Get a Saf contributed money so that their team would be fully prepared and represent them very well. And I believe we can do that. We tried that the last time where we raised money and all that stuff, but I think we can do more. But we cannot wait until the 11th hour to do it. We are in October going into November. The tournament starts in December. Our next game, I think, is in November. This is the time to act and not wait until the 11th hour and start running around looking for money.
Okay, another aspect I would also want to engage you is regarding, our preparation, having international friendly matches, to prepare ourselves. We know that we've already have, World Cup qualifiers that we're going to play, but we've seen, teams who are participating in the AFCONs, our opponents, are having international friendly matches, and Gambia is not having any.
And that is sad, and that is a disadvantage to us and a disservice to the coach and his coaching staff. Because as a coach, you need to be able to prepare, and the way to prepare is to be able to get your players to play cohesively. Because national teams, they spend the least amount of time together. So at least with these test matches, we are able to bring in new faces. And if you look at the Gambia, we have so many new players playing around the world. But for the coach to see whether they can fit in his system, it's not a matter of just, oh, my God, this Mr. So is very good, let's bring him. No, you have to be able to understand, to know whether that person would fit into your system. And for that to happen, you have to have these matches that you organize, test matches. We could have organized one against Sierra Leone. We could have organized one against Mauritania or Cape Verde and all these other places that are not playing. So that at least you will give the coach the opportunity to test some of these players, his systems. That way, when they come together, they will even have an understanding of what to do. But I believe it is sad that we are in October going into November, not a single test match when there is the international weekend. Everybody knew when the international weekend was coming. So all efforts were supposed to be made to make sure that at least we will have some test match somewhere. Or go to Morocco. Since they give us, their field to use. Let's talk to them and see whether we can have a test match against them. But something needs to happen. But what we are doing, we cannot now go and get poor results and then blame the coach when the coach was not given all the tools necessary to prepare the best way that he should to be able to compete.
Okay. Coach, I know I'm taking much of your time, but before I leave you, I want you to buttress on the issue of fans, ferrying fans, to Ivory Coast. We've had an interview with the minister here, and then he said financially, is, very tough on the side of ministry. It's very expensive. What happened the last time, might not happen fully. They might not be able to fully, feed a lot of fans, in Ivory Coast, especially looking at the media also. Like the last time the media was also ferried, to the Ivory Coast. So what's your take on those issues?
But you see, it is sad. But you see, people should prepare themselves. And preparation also means planning for the unexpected. We went to the AFCON. Everybody knew that this AFCON was coming. Yeah. So to me, I think that was supposed to be part of the budget that was presented before the National Assembly, and explain to them, hey, A, B, and C is the reason why we need to have this budget, so that when it so happens, we'll be able to do A, B, C, D. Because this is where I believe, and I don't want to go political, but maybe the money that was spent to buy cars for the National Assembly members could have been better used to ferry some of our fans to go and support our national team and help them prepare. So we have to prioritize things and see what is important for the country. But sadly, again, like I told you, most people do not take football seriously. They don't take anything serious, any of these things seriously. But again, the only thing that unites the country peacefully is when our national team plays and does very well. You see the reaction. It doesn't matter who you are. This when nobody cares whether you are UDP or NPP or DOI or you are Mandinka or Jola. No. All people care about is that you are a Gambian. Gambia has done well. So I think it is sad that we may not be able to ferry fans and the media will not be able to cover this. We should have media there that should be able to cover this, giving the coverage a Gambian perspective.
Yeah.
Because if I rely on Senegalese media, Senegal would give me a Senegalese angle. But I would rather have Gambian media report the matter based on, from a Gambian angle. That would be helpful. But again, I would challenge the ministry. I would challenge the president. He is claimed to be a fan of football. I would challenge the National Assembly. I would challenge the businesses. Whether it is the Mohammed Jazz, whether it is these telecom companies and all them, to at least step up to the plate and help to make this happen. Even if you say that, you know what, I am going to pay for 100 fans to go to Ivory Coast to support our national team, you can do that. I think the money is there by people who could better use it to help so that at least we'll have the proper representation that we need. Our boys, there's nothing nicer than seeing our boys on the field and you look up and see the Gambian flag flying all over the place. This is the 21st century. Let's make it happen.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. It is a pleasure, and thanks for all you do. And Gambia, don't be worried. Don't worry. We, the Gambian people, will win. We'll win. Don't worry. And so we may even bring the trophy home. Who knows? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Coach Samba. We've seen